Hello everyone! In this lesson, we will be creating a nice hover effect. So when I hover over the link, this nice little effect should happen. Alright, so let's start by going here in my HTML and adding a link. And just say, hover me. Then I will go to my CSS and add some styles. I will target the link and add padding, 40 pixels from top and bottom, and 80 pixels from left and right. Then I will add font family, sans serif, then text decoration none to get rid of the underline, then color, then sharp 2626, font size, 45 pixels, letter spacing, 2 pixels, border, 5 pixels, solid, and again this color, position, relative, and transition, 1 second. So this is how the link looks now. Alright, so we'll need to use the pseudo element before. And if you don't know what that is, it just allows you to insert code before your element. We'll see how this works in a second. So I will say before, and inside of that, content, empty, so I don't get any text inside this pseudo element, and then position, absolute, top, 0, left, 0, width, 100%, height, 100%. So it should take the whole width and height of the link. And then background color, our color, transition, 1 second. So now you can see our pseudo element appears on top of the link, and we are not able to see the link anymore. Great! I'm sure you remember the rotate X and rotate Y functions that we learned earlier in the course, and that you remember that rotate X makes the element rotate along the X axis, while rotate Y makes it rotate along the Y axis. Let's review that together. Here I have two images, and I have set the rotate X for the first one to 90 degrees when hovering over it. So let's see what will happen when I hover over it. You can see the image is rotated 90 degrees along the X-axis, so that we now can't see it, because the part of it that's facing us now is its edge. And I have set the rotate Y for the second image to 90 degrees on hovering as well. So now, when I hover over it, you can see the image is rotated along the Y-axis by 90 degrees until it disappeared as well. Alright, now that we've reviewed what rotate X and rotate Y do, let's go back to our CSS. I will go right here and add rotate X 90 degrees to our pseudo element so that it'll rotate by 90 degrees and will disappear just like in the image example. Great. So now what I want to do is when I hover over the link, I want to remove the rotation of the before pseudo element so that it returns right to where it was before disappearing. So I will target the link, and when I hover over it, I want to do some changes to the before pseudo element. I want to reset the rotation around the X-axis to 0 so that it shows up again and we can see it. And because I'm using transition up here, this change in rotation should happen smoothly. So now, when I hover over the link, you can see that the before pseudo element comes back and shows up nicely. Now, we need to change the text color when we hover over the link to white. So I will target the link, and when I hover over it, I want to change the color to white. And if I hover over the link now, you can see nothing happens. The text color isn't showing up, and that is because the pseudo element is appearing on top of the link, and the text is lying underneath it. So what we can do is we can go right here in the pseudo element and add z-index minus 1 so that the text shows up in front of the pseudo element. So now when I go and hover over the link, you can see the text shows up and we have a nice hovering effect going on. Now, we tried rotate X. Let's go further and try rotate Y, mix them together, and see what we'll get. So I will copy this pseudo element, paste it again, and just change before to after. Okay, so now we have two pseudo elements. I will just change the rotate function to Y, so it'll rotate along the Y-axis until we can't see it anymore. And I will copy this hovering effect, paste it again, and change before to after, X to Y, so that when I hover over it, the rotation along the Y-axis returns back to 0, and it shows up nicely with the before pseudo element. And now, when I go and hover over it, you can see the before and after pseudo elements are showing up together, giving it this really nice effect. And that is exactly what we wanted.